In the last video within this playlist, I left you with this program and indicated that it had a syntax error. In this video, we're going to have a look closely at that syntax error, and it's one of those errors that sometimes are difficult to spot. But you can see here that I've got two arguments, and I'm hoping that those arguments will be sent to here, to the parameters that are defined in the function. If you look at this, you can see we have a keyword argument where Fred Smith is being assigned to name. Now this matches up with this parameter here. If you look to the 10, well, here we can hopefully say to ourselves, well, this is an example of a positional argument because it isn't a keyword argument because it's not being assigned to anything. So we're hoping that this matches up with this parameter here. So I'm going to go forward as if that is the case, in full knowledge that it isn't going to work. Because if I try and run this, in other words, allow it to be interpreted, what we're going to see is that we get this highlighting red area telling us there's something wrong with this function call. And furthermore, it'll go on to tell us that we have a syntax error where it says positional argument follows a keyword argument, which is not allowed. But let's assume it is, and let's look at what you might think is going to happen with this program, and then we'll roll back and show you why Python doesn't allow it. So moving on to the next slide, what we're going to see is that Fred Smith is going to be assigned to name, overriding the John Doe, which was the default value. We're then going to make the assumption that the 10 will be assigned to the age, overriding the 0. And then we might think that the output from this program therefore will be, hello Fred Smith, you are 10 years old. So it could be reasonable for us to make the assumption that this Fred Smith is passed to here, and because of this, Fred Smith appears here in the output. Furthermore, we might make the assumption that this 10 will be passed to here, and because of this curly braces containing the parameter age, the 10 appears here. But we've just seen for this computer program, this does not happen because we get a syntax error. So this computer program is not correct, and you won't get the output. Let's move on to the next slide where you can see I've put down positional arguments are matched to function parameters based on their position in the function call. We can go on to look at keyword arguments. They are matched to the function parameters by name. If you place a positional argument after a keyword argument, the interpreter does not know which parameter the positional argument is meant to match, leading to a syntax error. As a programmer, you need to make sure that all positional arguments are placed before keyword arguments in a function call. If you consider this call that we saw in the program earlier, you can see here I have a keyword argument which is followed by a positional argument, and this way round is not allowed. And the Python interpreter will inform you of this by this syntax error, where it says a positional argument follows a keyword argument. So it's telling you that this positional argument is following this keyword argument, and it's clearly not allowed in Python. Let's consider the program. I've brought it back on this slide. This isn't an explanation referring to the underlying mechanisms of parameter passing in Python, but it's a view that might help you remember why you get a syntax error here. If you look at this, it's clearly second in this set of brackets. So is that the second positional argument? It is the first positional argument in this, because this was a keyword argument. So you could argue, is this first or second? Now, if you can't say whether it's first or second from that description that's just gone before, how does Python know to give it to this? Now, I know that's not a proper explanation of what the underlying mechanism is, but it's the kind of way I think of it at this level. Now, I know what the underlying mechanism is, and I know why this doesn't work, but I'm not sure at this stage in the playlist I want to delve into that. So I'm just going to give you a rule, and the rule is this. If you have a keyword argument here, you cannot follow it with a positional argument. So as soon as you produce one of these, anything that follows cannot be one of these. So in other words, if you have a keyword argument, you ain't allowed to follow it by a positional argument. Of course, to keep the sense of this program, you could move this 10 to this position in front of the keyword argument, so long as you altered the arrangement within these brackets by putting the age equals 0 before this. Then it would interpret and run appropriately. But for the setup I've got here, you cannot do this. Consider the computer program floating into position now. And if you look here, you can see I've swapped these round. So here I have got the positional argument, and here I've got the keyword argument. But look to this, and you can see I've had to rearrange this from what it was here. And now this program will function and give you the output you would be expecting. But this video was to show you this problem, where you cannot follow a keyword argument with a positional argument. And just to emphasize, this is a positional argument followed by a keyword argument, and that's okay, providing, of course, you have the brackets as shown here.